Erdogan also addressed the country's parliament as part of his two-day visit to Khartoum. It's the first time a Turkish president has traveled to Sudan. The trip is aimed at building economic and security ties, with more than a dozen agreements signed by the two sides. One of those deals aims double bilateral trade with Sudan to $1 billion. TRT World's Kim Vinnell is following the Turkish president's visit and has more details.
This is an historic visit. It's the first visit by a sitting Turkish president to Sudan ever in the country's history, and the two presidents wanted to make clear just how important this visit is for bilateral trade and strategic relations. There are three major reasons why Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has embarked on this trip. The first is obviously the economy. There's a huge business delegation traveling with him. The two countries want to increase bilateral trade, to double it, in fact, from $500 million to $1 billion. That's a huge task, particularly considering Sudan's struggling economy. When South Sudan seceded, it took with it 75% of the country's oil reserves. And the economy, I mean, unemployment is incredibly high here as well, but the two really do want to work on that. Sudan wants to diversify its economy, and that is where Turkey comes in. Obviously, there's a political agenda here as well. Turkey's president wants to really be a major player on the international scene, and strengthening ties across Africa is a big part of that. And finally, there's the issue of security. Turkey has dealt with its own security issues with Syria, obviously, on its doorstep, and the fight against Daesh there. And Sudan has its own issues here. There's a conflict in Darfur and various rebel factions across the country. So Turkey is able to offer some guidance on that. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan also reiterating his calls for all FETÖ-linked schools across Africa to be handed into Turkish hands. And that is something that Sudan has been more than willing to do. So there's a lot on the agenda. Recep Tayyip Erdogan will spend another day here in Sudan before heading on to Chad and finally to Tunisia.